My Child Isn't Talking, Part 5. A Journey into the Life of a Child with Down Syndrome and His Family by Diane Fridley. The pre-K years are an exciting time for parents. Typically developing children are learning pre-writing skills and are comprehending more language that develops into a lot of questioning. In Part 3, I told you about Justin's experiences as a toddler with parents and grandparents dedicated to providing him with rich learning experiences. I explained some of the physical and social challenges, as well as speech and language delays characteristic of a child with Down syndrome. In this section of our story, you'll get a more in-depth look at the preschool period of the story, Justin's literacy and learning. This is a time of rapid growth in body and mind for children. Justin was no different here. He was extremely active with great growth and fine motor skills. He enjoyed running, jumping, swinging, and climbing, especially climbing. The running did prove to be a problem after enrolling in preschool, since Justin routinely tried to escape the classroom to find his favorite specialist. Teachers had to be vigilant. Justin lacked no social skills and was a favorite for hugs, smiles, and fist bumps from everyone. With all that activity, he often became tired due to the irregularity of his sleep patterns. Justin continued to have trouble sleeping during pre-K. This became a problem for teachers who were teaching tasks that were difficult or unpreferred. The teachers noticed that some days Justin was not quite himself and began to keep a log. After checking with parents and grandma through regular communication and conferences, they found that these off days coincided with nights of little sleep due to an ear infection or many times of waking during the night due to sleep apnea, a health problem for many children with DS. Justin's peers routinely napped during the day of pre-K. However, because of disrupted sleep routines, he didn't always keep to the schedule. While Justin's peers could follow directions, complete three-step tasks, and engage in circle time activity through conversation and questioning, Justin was still nonverbal and unable to engage in these types of activities. Often, teachers and specialists had to guess what would interest and engage him during an educational activity. To provide more interesting and relevant learning experiences, teachers communicated regularly with Justin's parents and grandparents about interests and activities at home. This valuable information provided teachers and specialists with insight as to what would spark interest for Justin and draw him into learning tasks with speech intervention. Mild-mannered Justin by day, Superman whenever there was a cape around. Justin was right along with his peers, pretending during play, especially if there was a cape around, playing with blocks, mostly so he could knock them down, digging in the dirt, and riding a tricycle. He enjoyed playing with his friends. However, the lack of speech to communicate was sometimes a barrier to interaction. Often, he could overcome this barrier through gestures and body language to engage in social play. Justin was nonverbal through his pre-K experience. Like many children with DS, he was unable to express himself with speech. When his parents looked for a pre-K for him, they felt it best to find someplace that would provide interventions daily to help him overcome the delays that were consistent with children with DS, such as his inability to speak. They found a special school where he would be with other children with similar needs, including mental and physical delays, language delays, and self-care needs. Like others with DS, Justin's receptive speech far exceeded his expressive vocabulary of mama and dada and continued to grow much faster than his expressive skills. His classroom consisted of only 6 to 8 students of similar needs, and there were intensive interventions for learning each day. Justin participated in speech therapy sessions daily, literacy interventions including phonic songs, and tactile experience with text. While many of his peers at pre-K were able to talk about familiar things, say their name and gender, Justin was still unable to speak, more than his very animated babble. Justin loves books, letters, and any text. Typically, developing children can recognize that text represents things and people by the end of pre-K, and some are even beginning to read simple words. While Justin has an intense interest in text and can discriminate text from pictures or even lines, he was unable to verbalize what he may have been processing as recognition. He was able to recognize his name, point out the entire alphabet when asked a letter, and even make some appropriate letter sounds when given a visual prompt. His print awareness was right on task with his peers in early pre-K. However, his expressive language delays further impeded his progress in learning letter sounds and combining sounds into words. Giggles and letter sounds. When being read to at home and at school, Justin responded with animated joy when seeing or hearing his favorite characters, songs, and activities. There was a definite recognition of words, pictures, and symbols. However, with no communication system to express his needs, wants, or ideas, Justin was unable to do more than express his delight with giggles, smiles, and jumping for joy. His mother would often use simple speech, describe objects of interest, and say out loud what she thought Justin wanted, more typical of teaching a 2 to 3-year-old speech. And it seemed to be gaining some ground as some beginning word sounds emerged from Justin's babble. Justin's family continued to be very involved in every step of development, working closely with speech therapists and pathologists, as well as other specialists. Justin was very social and happy and got along with his peers. His family continued to be extremely active, attending family gatherings, parties, and events with Justin. Justin's father, still in the military and away for months at a time, proved to be a bit of a stress on Justin's mother. However, with a strong support system, Justin was never far from family care. Resources for Justin's family. Mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather all spent time at the school during special reading days, award days, or just time at lunch with Justin. They were all very involved and want to make every effort for Justin's continued growth and success. Communication between parents and teacher was open and consistent. Justin's parents often requested resources for more information that could help Justin learn to communicate, develop his comprehension or expressive language. These sites were recommended to the family. The National Down Syndrome Society, the Early Intervention Section. Down Syndrome Research Foundation. Down Syndrome Research Foundation, particularly communication video. The Down Syndrome Education International, Development and Learning. Down Syndrome Education Online, Issues for Family with a Child with Down Syndrome. Communication Frustration. As Justin learned more in pre-K and through the efforts of his family, he became more frustrated when he was unable to express his ideas, needs, and wants. His family and his teachers became more determined to find a way for Justin to communicate. They felt he may be in the wrong school and could be more successful with peers that may be more cognitively advanced. For his kindergarten experience, everyone involved was dedicated to find a way to help Justin speak. Stay tuned for an exciting breakthrough for Justin, his family, and his teachers in the next segment.